care of any comments. We'll take questions at the end.
Sure. Sure.
Just waiting for the launch here. Care of any comments? We'll take questions. Perfect. Welcome, everybody, to our VBOUT monthly podcast. This is a series that we started about 10 years ago, where we were doing it in person. It eventually moved online, and we continued online, which is the reason why thousands of our subscribers all around the world can actually watch, attend, and participate on these awesome events. Today, I have a very special guest, Keith Bell. We're going to be discussing specifically how digital agencies are using AI to scale. We're going to dive into things like how does a funnel looks like in 2025, what are what he calls the funnel hubs. We'll talk about how AI is impacting your strategy, how to adopt AI in an agency, and also some of the common pitfalls and mistakes when it comes to adoption, compliance, and so much. There's a lot to cover. I'm super excited to talk about all this stuff. But before I begin, I would like to give a quick shout out to our sponsor, VBOUT. You might know VBOUT if you are coming from our invites from the community, or if you've joined in for the first time. VBOUT is your Swiss Army knife for all things digital marketing. We have 14 tools combined into one platform that allows you to execute your lead gen, lead nurture, and retention campaigns. At the meat of the application, at the core of VBOUT are three very powerful tools: email marketing, marketing automation, and multi-channel AI chatbots. The combination of those three are a deadly combo if you want to execute your campaigns the right way. We are the perfect alternative for expensive, bulky tools like HubSpot, Marketo, and the likes. And we are also an upgrade for basic tools like MailChimp and similar products. So you can find us in between those two. Again, our sponsor is VBOUT, and I would love to have a conversation with you if you're looking to adopt your next digital marketing product to run your stack, or if you're looking to migrate from your existing vendor. Maybe you're unhappy with their support, or perhaps you're looking for better pricing, or even the combination of all these. So thanks, VBOUT, for sponsoring, and shout out to George, who assists all the time on these awesome content and invitations for all. Also, big shout out to everybody who attend our events. It means a lot to us. You invest an hour of your time or you watch it after. Either way, we really appreciate your attendance, joining from around the world. So just drop us in the chat where you're joining from, and also perhaps what you're looking to get out of today's podcast. Now, we do syndicate those events on a monthly basis through our community. So if you haven't joined our Facebook group, George will be dropping this in the chat. As a link, we announce all things upgrades, updates of the product, upcoming events, and monthly meetings right on the group. So thank you, George, for dropping this in the chat. And general housekeeping item, anything you want to ask, we will get to. But today's session, we'll leave it towards the end, so we have enough time to cover all our questions with our guests. All right. To start, I would love to introduce our guest for today. Keith Bell, the CEO of Funnellosophy Media Group. Sorry if I butchered this.
Yeah, it's a mouthful.
A leading voice in AI-powered digital marketing. With years in experience in funnel strategy, automation, and data-driven decision-making, Keith helps and have helped agencies and businesses rethink their approach for their lead generation and help them scale smarter. His insights on AI-driven content creation and predictive marketing, as well as ethical AI adoption, have made him a sought after speaker and consultant in the industry. He also has his own podcast. I highly recommend you listen to some of his awesome episodes that he keeps on pushing with special guests. And today we have the honor to have him on our own podcast. So, Keith, welcome.
Welcome. Thank you. Thank you for inviting me. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. I want to begin with one very dear topic to me and to many of our community. I want to talk a little bit about funnels. And I know many of us build funnels or have funnels in one shape or the other, be it from ads, be it from email, from a simple drop landing page with a guide. Um, we've shared a little bit about this before, but how do funnels look like now in 2025? Are there still the typical old-fashioned things like this, which you've done a lot on and a flow of lead and information, or have they evolved to something different?
Well, I think funnels, the core concept of funnels, and um, the name of my company is Funnellosophy, which is the fusion of the word funnel and philosophy. So one of the things that I try to always do when I'm building funnels is to make sure that the philosophy behind why that particular funnel works is integrated into the process. That being said, I've seen, especially over the last 2 to 3 years, I've seen the way that funnels are delivered to the end user have definitely changed. I mean, they're no longer these linear step-by-step processes that we've seen in the past where you go to an opt-in page, you get a lead magnet, then you go to a thank you page. They've changed and their delivery, and one of the biggest delivery changes is chatbots. I mean, chatbots are a great way to pre-screen your leads. You can ask them questions, or actually your chatbot can ask them questions, and you actually get them to book appointments. So I think the time from the initial landing page to uh, either a decision, an opt-in, or even in some cases scheduling an appointment has gotten much faster and much shorter. Um, I've also seen that the whole process has become hyper personalized. So I've developed funnels now where I might have 4 different landing pages. Each landing page is designed for a particular audience segment. So based on their response to either an email or from some of the back end predictive analytics that we've done, we know that that particular landing page is going to resonate better with them. And of course, you got to A/B test them and things like that. So, um, but I think the biggest thing is the speed at which people move through and the hyper personalizations that I think the biggest change.
That's great. So it's basically taking an old-fashioned funnel like this, which I'm pulling up on the screen here, and perhaps condensing some of this process into part AI chatbot and part personalized landing pages to make it a little bit more fluid and dynamic. So the shape of a funnel that looks like this um, have been one condensed and second has been optimized for, I would say, less interaction. Would you
Yeah, and
say
I
that?
think I think it takes some of the friction points out too. Like, you know, us old traditional funnel builders, you always had to be optimizing your funnel and you're always looking, okay, where are people dropping off? You know, are they dropping off after the landing page? Are they dropping off after, you know, the thank you page? Now you can condense that, make it a lot shorter, and kind of smooth out some of those friction points.
Got it. Thanks for that. So When you say you personalize landing pages inside the funnel for a specific audience, how do you achieve that? Is it a typical merge tag? Is
It's
it
usually it's
dynamic
usually
AI powered field?
using I'll use a merge tag, and then through using an automation and make, I have it segmented out. If they respond this way, send them down this path. If they respond this way, so I have kind of a decision tree set up, and then it'll direct them to, you know, let's say it's landing page A, B, and C, and they're in B segment. It will send them to the B page.
Perfect. That sounds good. And I've seen a company who's actually doing that with merge tags. So what they did is their AI customizing a specific merge tag they include in landing pages. So let's say they're sending an email to 1,000 leads, and 1,000 lead have one custom AI field in the data set, like you have first name, last name, email, and then they have a special field called landing page opener. And on the landing page opener, they personalize this entire intro to be specific to that person based on their existing services and products, which is great because you can do that at scale. And then you can upload it to, let's say, VBOUT. And when you're building a landing page, you can literally, based on the person clicking through the email, convert that merge tag into that opener, making the whole page look like it's fully personalized for them. So I'm all for this, and I think if people have the need to do hyper personalization in their funnel, there's no reason why they cannot do it by combining, I would say, AI and tools like VBOUT to achieve it. And what else have you seen in the funnel? And I know this is kind of uh, part when you say AI chatbots, you say landing pages. How about the opt-ins? Have you seen the opt-ins through those landing pages be mainly now through AI chatbots, or are you seeing the forms evolve, the actual form that captures those leads?
I've seen a little bit of both, but I would say it kind of leans more towards the chatbots, because with the chatbot, the people get that personalized interaction, and they get to have you know, a short conversation with the chatbot. So I think, that's engaging. Now, in terms of opt-in pages, I've seen opt-in pages um, change somewhat, but I've created some opt-in pages. I think I told you about this, Richard, where like I created an opt-in page where a person could submit 3 images of themselves.
Mhm,
We talked about it. It would analyze the images for people's hair loss.
mhm,
Specifically, we were targeting men, and it would analyze a face shot, a top of the head, and the back of the head, and it would give them an email report that would go directly to their email
mhm.
with their Norwood Hamilton hair loss scale.
Okay,
And what that did was that did 2 things. That gave them immediate feedback on what their hair loss was like. When I first I used myself as the crash test dummy, so to speak,
mhm.
and I was both overjoyed that my funnel and my idea worked, but I was terrified by the fact that I was like a number 4 on the Norwood Hamilton hair loss scale, which is bad. So it was both good and bad, but it gave them that immediate feedback. It was hyper personalized because it was personalized to their particular hair loss.
Got it.
And then on the back end automation, it would have someone either text them or call them to set up an appointment.
And I want to compact that a little bit for those because honestly, everybody here who's attending, they actually build and craft great looking pages with some sort of an offer. So what you're referring to is actually the offer on the opt-in page so people can log in. And what you chose as special kind of offer is a utility, let's call it. Some companies, they do, like financial companies, for instance, upload your banking statements to see how much money we can save you. So they do some sort of an audit. In your case, you're doing, let's say, a bolding audit. But did you use a form, paired that with some make and integrations in the middle to produce the final result, or you did the entire thing through a chatbot?
So what I did was I had a form that they would fill out,
Okay.
name, email address. That was it. and then 3 drop downs to put their pictures in there.
Okay.
They hit send. That triggered a reaction with a make automation that went through, and then I set up a knowledge base inside of ChatGPT inside my make automation to analyze it based on Norwood Hamilton, because I don't know anything about the hair loss scale. So I did all this research, pulled together all kinds of documentation on what the Norwood Hamilton hair loss scale was. I actually even put images in there from their database.
Mm-hmm.
It analyzed it, and then it went to the next step, which was to kick out an email with a detailed report that I created the framework for ahead of time,
Mm-hmm.
with a specific prompt that once went through, would send out an email, and at the very bottom it would have a call to action to schedule an appointment. It also, of course, had a disclaimer in there that this was not to serve as medical advice, because obviously it's AI, and nobody can give you medical advice through AI at this point.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a form. Uh, it actually was a landing page I created in ClickFunnels with a form attached to it. Then it went through Make, and then it went through ChatGPT, and then it went through my mail service provider out to the client.
That's great. And you're just wheels are spinning in my head right now because we have an AI chatbot in VBOUT. So I'm thinking perhaps we can marry uploading images directly into the bot because it's already integrated with OpenAI's powerful API, right? So that's just give us some ideas how that form behavior and integration and even execution of those audits can be deeply integrated already into the AI chatbot. So I'm foreseeing how the condensed landing page can potentially house a form, but also eventually have a substitute to the form, which is the bot itself. Um, so thanks, Keith, for this. I wanna talk a little bit about something that you mentioned called funnel hubs, and many of us have heard this for the first time, including myself. So tell me a bit, what is a funnel hub or what you call fusion hub?
All right. So a funnel hub is, um, the way I've described it on my podcast is it's a purpose driven website. Okay. Your traditional website you go to, you have, you know, a menu bar at the top. You might have, some information about your company, and so forth. It's almost like a traditional brochure that you would give to somebody.
Okay.
A funnel hub is purpose driven. At the very top, and I can show you mine when we open it up. Um, it
Yeah, you can
has,
share your screen whenever you're ready.
yeah, let me go to where, okay, share screen. Let me open up my,
In the meantime, quick shout out to everybody who joined us today. We have Keith Bell as our guest. You're right on time. You haven't missed a lot of the exciting things we'll be discussing. So Keith is about to display what we call funnel hubs or fusion hub in marketing. It's a concept that Keith has actually um, came up with, I would say. Can I say you came up with the concept, Keith?
no, what I did was, like any good marketer, was when it was kind of unique timing. Funnel hubs are the province of Russell Brunson and Mike, and I think his name is AJ. They came up with the concept of a funnel hub. It's a content driven, authority based website.
Okay.
And like any good marketer, I said, okay, how can I use AI to make it better? So the concept of a fusion hub is basically, think of it like you've got a 69 Charger that's got like a 308 with a Hemi in it, and you take this big gigantic turbocharger and you slap it on top of the engine.
Mhm.
That's what the fusion hub does, is it takes what's already good and makes it better.
Got it.
So it looks, when you first look at it, and let's see if I can scroll down. When you first look at it, you say, looks like a website. And I'll show you. Here's a link to my AI powered marketing show. Talks a little bit about the future of marketing, the levels of service. I have a free webinar that people can go to. I've got a do-it-yourself membership program that I'm working on right now. Done with you, a collaborative partnership with you to build your funnel hub. And then done for you is a complete Fusion hub. I do everything. My team does everything. And then at the bottom, we have, your classic before and after, with Fusion hubs. What is that? Get rid of that. Before and after with Hub Fusion, and it talks about some of the before and some of the after your traditional before and after statements. My podcasts, some episodes people can. So it's basically just if somebody looks me up, they look up Funnellosophy, they can learn more about who I am and what my company is about and what we do. But the critical thing is at the top of this here is I have some landing page copy, and the top of the funnel the top of the funnel hub page is the key problem that you're trying to solve. Now this is going to change because I've changed my focus to small business owners, but it asks the question, how intelligent is your engagement system? Measure engagement system's intelligence. Artificial intelligence is revolutionizing customer engagement by how intelligently does your system leverage AI? And then when they clicked on this button, which is not active right now, it would take them to a jot form page where they would fill out information. That would go through kick out a report and tell them, their engagement score. But
Got it. So what makes this different? Like what elements of this page is different from, let's say, a traditional website that makes it a funnel hub?
um, ideally, the top of the page is the most important part, but the rest of the page is all about building my authority. Like it shows me as an expert, it positions me as an expert, and it gives me credibility. It also gives people some information about, what the company is about so they can, investigate. They're at the awareness level of the funnel and they're learning more about what, funnels are all about. So, but really, um, there's only a couple of things that you can do on this page. You can check your audience, your engagement scale score,
Okay.
or you can watch the free webinar. Just like
Got it.
in old-fashioned direct response marketing, you were limited to what you could do, and that's what we do here is we limit what they can do. And,
Uh,
and the Fusion Hub just turbocharges the whole process. A lot of that takes place in the back end.
Great. So I am to, if I get this correctly and unpack it for everybody, is basically traditional funnel that starts with a landing page and sections by you're establishing yourself as an authority in the actual funnel field by showcasing or following certain structure of content. For example, you have a podcast, you're showcasing that. You have an assessment at the top, assessment form that they could go through, and that's your main lead magnet process. So it's literally focusing on your area of expertise in the funnel, resembling traditional funnels, but basically just being focused on that one topic and one expertise. Did I unpack this right?
Yeah, the only thing is this is not the funnel hub is um, if you'd imagine it's like your central control system. Okay.
Hmm.
There's going to be buttons down here at some point in time
Hmm.
where they can click them, and basically it sends you out to this sales funnel or this sales funnel or this sales funnel.
Ah, got it. Okay. Now I
Okay.
got it. Thank you for explaining.
Yeah.
Uh, so it's like a pack of funnels linked through your authority website.
Yep. Yep.
Perfect.
That's perfect.
Thank you for that. Now, I want to ask something when it comes to lead magnets and how AI is helping you build it. Now, you did mention one, which is the bold scale that you built. And I'm not sure if this is something you can show or not, but let's talk a little bit about, what kind of lead magnets can AI help you build nowadays?
Oh man. The The one that I just built was let me see if I have, I'll see if I have it in here.
And no pressure if you don't. I know this is, uh, I
I
just
might,
want to give our audience some ideas because we're always kind of looking for the next best offer. And I know I talked about this in the past in one of the podcasts that we've done or webinars. We talked about 10 different offers. There are hundreds of offers you can do, but you can offer downloadable, like an ebook or a guide. You
mhm,
can offer access to a course or a workshop. You can offer an audit of some sort. You can have also like a joint venture partnership or podcast or just like we're doing now as also an offer. You can have a free access to something like if you're offering a software, you can offer a free gift card for having a conversation with proper qualification. You don't want to give gift cards just to anybody who fills out the form. Um, Access to a pre-recorded video, value video,
mhm.
and these are the top ones actually out of the 10 that I can remember right off the bat. But I'm curious to know from you also how AI is helping shape some of these kinds of offers.
Yeah, let me, I've got a, just did this 2 weeks ago where I used AI to create ideas for lead magnets, and I use Alex Hermosi's um, breakdown. He talks about consumable lead magnet ideas, and the first one is an AI-powered funnel optimization checklist. So a checklist, user inputs funnel metrics into a form like Jot form, and then
Mhm.
they get a personalized email with optimized tips on how to optimize their funnel.
Right.
Um, you know, funnel blueprint with personalization. Another one that I've already done is an AI conversion rate report. They submit their conversion rate, their metrics, and all their documentation. Goes through Make, and if you have a good prompt in there, does the same thing. It sends that deliverable out to them like 2 or 3 seconds. It's out to their email, so it's
That's
very
great.
fast. All different kinds.
Love it. So they're leveraging the power of I'm just gonna focus on ChatGPT because honestly, it's the best. I don't care what anybody's saying right
Yeah.
now. It's definitely one of the best outcome and best integrations. Um, so you can basically in the form offer any lead magnet that you want. Doesn't matter what the industry is. You can be working with, like you said, boldness. You can be working with somebody who is doing, like a detailed marketing plan. So you can ask somebody through a form or an AI chatbot, upload your budget and a sample email, and I'll rewrite this whole thing for you. You upload it, you send it to ChatGPT's AI using Make, Zapier, or whatever you have. You get the answer back, store it in the custom field, and then send that person the result. Um, it could be maybe like a personalized training routine based on their height, weight, and age, and any
Mhm.
conditions that they have. Merge all of these into, capture them as a field, custom fields on a form, send them through API, and then get back the personalized response from AI. Is this about it?
Yeah, I mean, literally I mean, whatever idea, like the hair loss thing that I came up with when I
Mm.
first honestly created that or had the idea for it, I'm like, there ain't no way in hell this is going to work. But I figured, I actually used ChatGPT to guide me through the process. Built initially, I built a GPT,
Mm.
and I tested it in there. Then I built a knowledge base, and then I built my whole entire automation. I did all that work, and the client didn't buy. So if there's anybody out there that needs a lead magnet for determining hair loss, reach out to me because it's great. I'm not even going to shut it off of my ClickFunnels account because it was so good and I was so impressed with it. But I mean, really, the world's your oyster when it comes to creativity. Anything that you can think of that gives them some sort of value right off the bat in exchange for their contact information or scheduling an appointment. I mean, there's nothing. I mean, I can't think of any limitations. You just have to be creative.
Just don't do medical advice or anything that can
Yes.
risk
Yeah.
that put someone at risk by suggesting
If you do that,
medication.
make
Yeah,
sure you put, medical, not just medical advice, but like
disclaimers.
fitness supplements. Make sure you put disclaimers in there because the last thing you want to do is get sued.
Yes, absolutely. So I like this. I think anybody here who is looking to build a funnel and they need a lead offer, you need an offer at the top of the funnel, right? That's how people opt into things. You
Hmm.
can certainly upgrade your existing lead magnet by integrating with AI and getting those audits and responses direct. And I think to be quite frank, Keith, and I know you're gonna do this for the industry you're targeting. So if you're working with doctors or your target client as an agency, let's say, is working with doctors, or somebody who is that treat baldness or they have hair implants or whatever, you can literally build a tool like this, and then when you do your outreach for that potential lead or customer, you can say, listen, I am an agency specializing in hair implant clinics. I've built a lead magnet that does balding assessment that I can deploy for your company or your hair implant clinic.
Hmm.
And I will set it up. I will deliver leads to you. We can create some sponsored ads. And eventually, when people fill out that assessment, I will send you the lead after the result, and your team can do some sort of a follow-up with that lead. So you can package that lead magnet so it can be resold to multiple clients, right?
Yeah. And believe it or not, that is actually something that I'm in the process of doing with another person, packaging it up to sell as a whole, lead generation system.
Great. Love it. So lead the magnets for boldness is taken, you guys, but there's probably about 905,000 other ideas that you can go out, package, and resell. But anything for boldness is already taken, right, Keith?
That's right. I got the lock on that. What I guess what I'll say is that if you can figure out a way to give that person value up front, some piece of value in exchange for their email, because that's what a lead magnets or an opt-in is all about. You just want that email address or that phone number, or potentially have them schedule an appointment. Any value that you give them, they're going to be appreciative of it.
Right. Thank you so much for unpacking this. I want to segue a bit to talking about podcasts. Many companies, they try to start their own podcast. They do a couple episodes. They don't have the time. They don't see enough traction. They fail. They stop. They think they fail. I don't want to say they fail because even if you have one person audience, that's enough to make an impact sometimes. But in your experience, how much knowledge have you gained by launching your own podcast? Tell us about your journey there, Keith.
Yeah. So we didn't get to talk about. So my background, I'm a retired police officer, and specifically at the end of my career, I was a detective and detective sergeant, and I did a lot of work in intelligence and things like that. And I was looking to do something completely different. And 8 years ago now, wow, it went by fast. 8 years ago, I got into digital marketing, and like all these things that we're talking about, lead magnets and opt-in pages, like I didn't even know what a funnel was. I had no idea what a funnel was because I don't have that business background. But over the past 8 years, I learned all this stuff and I did a lot of freelance work. But this past actually it was a year and a half ago, I decided I was going to do one podcast episode every day,
Mhm,
solid for a year.
mhm,
Now, they weren't 45-minute long interviews. There were 15-minute, maybe 10-minute monologues of me talking about an AI topic that I pulled up from Perplexity and talked about that
mhm,
day.
mhm.
The knowledge that I've gained, um, like I feel I can't even quantify it because the I don't consider myself an expert in AI. I consider myself an expert in AI powered marketing,
Mhm.
but I have a better understanding of things like predictive analytics. I have a better understanding of things like sentiment analysis. I have a better understanding of the bias that exists inside of the large language training modules. Um, I've interviewed some incredible people. Like, I didn't know anything about branding. I never heard about brand. I didn't know what branding was. I was a cop for 25 years. So I interviewed a guy named Jesse James Robolewski, who's an expert in branding. He talked about how to create, um, a unique selling proposition and a unique identity for your brand. So the growth that I've experienced over the past year, I mean, I learned about how to clone myself, video clone myself from a guy named TJ Walker, who's he's a business coach, but he is partnered with Delphi AI, and they create video clones of yourself. So imagine this, Richard, you have a coaching, let's say you have a coaching platform and somebody went through a coaching class that week with you, but they couldn't wrap their head around that one concept that you were talking about. And it's like 2 o'clock in the morning and it's bugging you. You can get on the computer and you can talk to Richard.
Mhm.
And it was scary. It was scary how good the clone was.
Yeah.
Had
Is it also with the face avatar and all, or?
it's just like you and me sitting here. And it was the avatar that I saw was TJ Walker's avatar, and he's a business coach. So we did a little experiment, and I asked his clone about time management. As a CEO, how can I better manage my time? Blah blah blah, and it gave me a whole 15-minute coaching session with his clone of himself.
Do you know the name of
Was
the tool that you use for the cloning process?
Delphi DELPHI .ai.
Okay, great to know for anybody who wants to look up for a clone. Now, look, we do have AI-powered chatbots that already does this via chat, but this is, I guess, that one that just clones your face and your voice. So definitely something to explore here.
Yeah, they're like Brendan Bouchard's one of the people that has used it to create a clone himself. So think about it. You run a business as a coach or consultant. You can now create a clone Richard. I'm gonna do this, but it's gonna be my evil twin Michael. And Michael is gonna be like he's gonna be like a contrarian and he's gonna answer questions in coaching calls, but
Got it.
all the podcast episodes that I've ever done, all the blog posts that I've ever written, anything that I've ever created can be used as part of the knowledge base, and it's not expensive. I mean, their lowest price there is $29. Another one there is Synthesia. Um,
Okay.
I just saw one. Leland was talking about Synthesia. I use Synthesia a lot. And that's also scary. I created a clone of myself because I'm putting together a course right now on prompt engineering, and it does the introduction and the summary of the lesson. It sounded exactly like me. Like my girlfriend couldn't tell the difference,
Got it.
but Synthesia is the other one.
I know there are so many of them, and
Yeah, I
varies in
mean,
pricing and performance and how robotic or not it looks. And the good thing with it is it's just getting better with time. So
oh, absolutely.
everybody's gonna have a version of them with an AI agent in the background that does specific tasks. And then I just recently this company announced they're gonna be shipping 100,000 robots powered by AI in the background as well. There's gonna be doing some tasks for you. So it's all coming together. Every sci-fi movie we've ever watched is coming your way. So um,
Just for So one of your guests is asking here. It's Delphi, DELPHI.ai.
I'll drop it in the chat for everybody here too as well. Uh, now, Keith, my question in terms of the podcast, and I know this is a big problem for everybody. So I want to go through this quickly because I have a lot more to cover, but how much knowledge do you need to have to create your own podcast, and how much time do you spend recording and distributing those podcasts?
Well, you're going to be shocked, but I use an AI tool to create my podcast. It's called podcastle.ai.
Not shocked at all. Okay, here we go. Here's
And
another tool for you guys. So Podcastle AI, and how does that help you?
so I have Podcastle AI right on my phone.
Okay.
So for the first couple weeks, I would just plug a little microphone into the bottom, and on my way to wherever, the grocery store, wherever, I record a podcast episode. It usually takes me about uh 20 minutes to write like a not a script, but like talking points of things I want to talk about, and I structure it.
Okay.
And then I just read it into Podcastle AI, and Podcastle AI in the last year has gotten better too. So the first time I used it, there was a foot and a half of snow outside and had ice on my windshield, and I was trying to defrost the windshield. It removed all the noise of my blower in my car.
Nice.
It sounded like I was in a studio. It now has video as well, where you're reading a script. Let's say you're using a teleprompter. It has a teleprompter as well. You're reading the teleprompter. It will
You got your eye
change
contact. Yeah.
gauge your icon so it doesn't look like you're reading from a teleprompter.
Yeah. That's a great feature.
So amazing. But yeah, so tops an hour a day to put out my podcast.
Hour, 20 minutes to get the content in place.
Yeah,
Another 25 minutes to shoot.
yeah, and
And
and it the other thing is I have automation set up where if you look on my YouTube channel, I use Canva to create like a static video of some, like want to be a robot that's got, I just did one with I created an Abraham Lincoln robot with red eyes, and he was talking. I don't know if it's in there or not,
okay.
but
So these are created, those thumbnails are created on Canva.
yeah, the thumbnails they're all my interviews. Now these you would have to open up in YouTube. If you open up, let me see if I have one.
And again, guys, I'm just unpacking this for anybody who is looking for tips on their podcast. There are so many ways you can go about it. I personally use Descript, and I
These,
pay for their license. They have some great tools, like the eye focus. So it's they call it the Underlord that fixes your eye and removes filler words and stuff like this. So the script is really good because I can edit it from the script. But also, I've never tried Podcastle. I've heard about it from the first time from you, so I'm pretty sure it's a neat tool. Um, there are
yeah,
some things to make your life easier when it comes to your podcast production. So if you're worried about content and production time, an hour it seems is what Keith is suggesting. Um, and Keith, have you gotten leads from your podcast? That's the last question on that point.
oh yeah, oh yeah, without a doubt. It because people, and the weird thing is that people will send me emails that they got from going to my Funnellosophy Funnel Hub. They'll go on there and they'll send me an email through there, and then I'll talk to them and set up an appointment. So I've gotten both uh, client appointments, but the big thing is I'm starting to get people wanting to be a guest on my show.
Mhm.
Now, I'm booked solid every week with guests until the end of April.
Nice. That's significant. And you still doing a podcast today?
No, I stopped. The goal was to do 365. I did 365 daily podcasts
Okay.
and stopped doing that because the 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 tagline of my show was investigating and exploring the intersection of artificial intelligence with digital marketing.
Yep.
And that's what I did. Over the past year, I investigated digital marketing, just like I would have done when I was a detective,
That's great.
and build up that knowledge base. This year, I am transitioning to the focus of my podcast is helping small business owners, digital marketers, and entrepreneurs to integrate AI into their businesses.
Love it. So there you go, guys. If you're looking for podcasts as a strategy, it's not going to be a 1 minute, but it's not going to be an entire day worth of production. If you're looking to do short form podcasts, you can do a long form podcast and pop one a month that's like really solid, and it takes a long time to produce and record and edit, but you can do once a day. Um, the tools are available for you to record and broadcast them. But most importantly, if you feel like you have nothing to talk about, I can guarantee you, everybody who is with us today or who will be watching this, you have not only an area of expertise that you can unpack and talk about, but you also have your own personality. You have your method of communicating the idea and the solutions and the points. And some people would love it, and you don't need a lot. You need hundreds of thousands and millions of views to get those, 5 to 10 leads a month that could be solid leads. So that's the point of that. And thanks, Keith, for sharing the resources.
Absolutely.
Now let's dive into AI, and this is kind of an area where everybody's talking about AI in all shapes and form. It's in every conversation, be it around marketing or not around marketing. But of course, today is all things digital marketing podcast. So with that, let's talk about how AI is reshaping digital marketing. And I know you said you're good in predictive and data analysis and sentiment analysis, right?
Hmm.
Um, Many people here don't know what predictive is. So tell us a little bit about that.
So, predictive analytics, and um, again, I learned this from using ChatGPT to teach me predictive analytics.
Hmm.
So I am by far not an expert on predictive analytics, but I did interview one. I interviewed a guy that's an expert in predictive analytics and got his book and read his book. But predictive analytics can encompass basically what you're doing is looking at a one of your contacts or users or however you describe them in your particular business model. You're looking at their behavior and you're looking at their past behavior with the idea of predicting how they may react or act going forward in the future. Now, I just learned that there's a companion to predictive analytics, which is called prescriptive analytics. So, predictive predicts their behavior, prescriptive gives you the prescription or the diagnosis, like a doctor, of
Hmm.
what you need to serve your customer better.
Okay. The terms that we come up with as marketers are just insane.
Yeah,
It's-
the best way to think of it is I have an image on one of the podcasts I did of a digital marketer staring into a crystal ball,
mm,
and it's basically it's almost like being able to predict the future.
mhm. And I'm trying to look up a session I've done 6 years ago on predictive analytics. I've done a whole presentation, and it actually got some traction. I was approached by a couple of universities, and I pitched that to about four different universities, believe it or not, to talk about the topic. That's way before AI became a thing.
Yeah.
But basically, predictive is not a new field of AI. It's a
Oh
very
no.
specialized niche of taking historical data to predict the future, looking at the past to predict the future. And it just comes into a niche part of AI, which is now baked into general artificial intelligence. So,
Yeah, I think the analogy that I like to use is it's like being a weather forecaster. a weather forecaster accumulates all this data about what's going on now, what's
Right.
happened in the past, and then they create models of
Mhm.
what the potential weather is going to be like.
That's
Get
the
it wrong?
best way to predict the future. I think Netflix does it pretty well. They know what you watched in
Oh
the
yeah,
past, what you're gonna watch in the future.
that I think Netflix has it on lock because they're looking at like past behavior, what you've watched in the past, and
Right.
That's predictive analytics at its best.
Yeah.
It looks at what your past watching behavior is, and then you see in the recommended tab they recommend all these different things. Amazon does the same thing with their uh, you know recommended products. You may have been searching for I was searching for these pocket. They're like pocket warmers. They're electric pocket warmers. I can put my pocket,
Right.
and then next 2 or 3 days, I got like all these. You can get a jacket with a heater in it. You can get pants with a heater in it. You can get shoes with heaters in it, gloves in it, and it's pretty
You
wild.
got bombed. That's it.
I got bombed.
That's why I'm very careful when I use Tor more than ever now, believe it or
Yeah,
not.
yeah.
It's just because the amount of retargeting is pretty annoying. And now it's sometimes you're just speaking about something and it just shows up everywhere around you. So I'm a little bit worried about the listening capabilities of these tools. Um, Now in VBOUT we build predictive sending. So we take previous email open rates of people and we predict the best time to send an email in the future. Um, but you can also have predictive pipeline if you're a salesperson to predict how your sales pipeline looks and how likely you are to close a certain amount of leads in the future business. That helps obviously in forecasting. So are there definitely many shapes um, there. Now, what about the other areas of AI that you're quite familiar with, you've worked with companies deploy?
Um, Trying to think of the most unique. One of the people that I interviewed was Leslie Walsh from, I believe the name of her agency is Fourth Act, and they created their own AI to evaluate ad creatives and campaign creatives. And
Mhm.
they were able to tell the example that they gave me was they have the PGA Tour as one of their clients. And what they did was they were able to tell from their database and their background and their intelligence system that people who like to watch the PGA Tour are also into classic cars, classic muscle cars to be more specific.
Mhm.
So they framed a lot of their marketing for this one particular event that they were doing around that. So that was one of the probably one of the most unusual. Another one was there's a company called Try Introspect, which has created a video quiz funnel. So it asks you a question, you answer one, multiple choice question, and it goes off into a tree, down into wherever, and it brings you down to a decision point, usually 5 or 6 questions. Another company that I did an interview with the CEO of was Score App. Score App is a AI. Um, it's a quiz funnel, but it also scores your apps or scores your people that submit to this the quiz, and it grades them, and you get a better idea of who they are, and it segments them for you.
Nice.
So that was another one. Um, I've done so many interviews this year. It's like, and the problem is, you know very well, shiny object syndrome. You gotta like, at some point in time, you gotta go, okay, that's a really cool idea. I'd like to do that, but I can't do everything because
You can't.
I'd be,
It's possible.
yeah,
And every day there's a new improvement and native language models. Like ChatGPT alone came up with like five things that made products that started in 2004 obsolete, you know. Canvas, for example, coding is getting much better. So eventually it's going to replace some of the coding tools, not all of them. So I think what we're seeing is an avalanche of products that do AI marketing. I'm talking about marketing to be
Mhm.
specific. Tasks in AI very well. Eventually, they're gonna be obsolete once those tools become part of the models themselves. So we
Yeah.
discussed predictive, we discussed data analysis and sentiment slightly, some tools for AI segmentation, but I think
I,
most people talk about AI in scalable social media and content generation.
yeah. I got
You want to talk?
one more that I think is going to be a game changer going forward, and I just started exploring this was AEO. I think we talked about this before, answer engine optimization. So
Mhm.
for years we've relied on SEO to drive people
Yeah.
organically to our websites. Because AI has changed the way that we search, we're asking more questions, like specific questions. Answer engine optimization is set up so that it directs that person that's answering that question to you.
Uh,
And you,
Best way to
so,
get found is an answer in AI. That's like
yep,
this is the champagne of SEO right now.
yeah.
So there you go. Another place. And I think if you want to get listed there, you need to have the proper traditional SEO in place, being on re review sites and popular sites like Capterra and others, and if you're a local business like Yelp and Google Local and stuff like that. So it doesn't ditch completely the old-fashioned SEO. It piggybacks on it overall.
Yeah,
Um,
I was going to say collaborates. I think it works well with traditional SEO.
yep. Now let's talk a little bit about scalable content generation. Um, anything you'd like to add? Because this is where people use it the most, right? To bulk create content for social media, to create emails and email copy. Any other forms of content generation you've seen digital agencies and other clients use?
Um, Not so much in terms of generation, but in terms of strategy. Um, right now, I'm working on a prompt engineering course using a framework that I've developed called the CLEAR framework, and each letter stands for an acronym, a different word. And I think the big thing going forward is humanizing the content that comes out. Some of the content that we're seeing generated, especially with AI, is very robotic. It doesn't sound like a person talking. So the you know the humanization of the AI, there's actually tools out there where you can take your AI content for your social media and humanize it. So it sounds more like an actual person.
Right.
Some of the stuff it puts out sounds just like, something you'd read like in your year-end report for your corporation. So prompt prompt engineering, I think, is a big part of it. But the traditional things that we do, knowing who your ideal customer is,
Mm.
identifying them, then using ChatGPT, which I use all the time, to create a content creation map or a calendar, I should say. Let's say you have, plan out the next 30 days for this new launch based on here's my branding information, and you create that 90-day launch of social media, and then use tools like Hootsuite, or I think yours does it too, right?
VBOUT, VBOUT.
VBOUT does it, where you can schedule your social media post. I'm doing that right now to promote my new product. So um, it's made it so much easier to create content fast and at scale.
And Leland just dropped in the chat. He said, when you create the content, just add to your prompt, humanize the output. And that seemed to have worked for Leland. So thanks, Leland, for the suggestion. So humanize the output.
Hmm.
Uh, and I think memory is getting much better in those tools. It knows how you speak and how you think. So it's getting much better at kind of personalizing certain copy or content based on what it knows about you. And that is certainly great.
Yeah, and another thing, Leland's probably done this as well. You can take past content that you've written, that you've done before, and prime ChatGPT by just adding the document first. Say, read this document. Let me know when you're finished,
Right.
and then it'll write off that. So it kind of keeps your brand voice.
That's great. Yeah, thanks, Keith, and thanks, Leland, for the suggestion as well. Now, a couple more questions, and I want to breeze through these. I know we're coming top of the hour, but how are digital agencies you work with are embracing AI? Are they just stuffing their presentations, their proposals with AI, or have you seen any agencies position it in a certain way that it just sells and it's more natural?
Um, I've interviewed a couple agency owners this year, and I saw uh, very different applications of AI. I think the big thing that one agency owner shared with me that was a lesson he learned was when an AI initially came out, he put out an edict that everyone will learn AI and start using AI as part of the process. And that didn't go so well for him. Educating your agency staff about how they can incorporate it, having human oversight was a big thing that I heard from at least two of the agency owners that I interviewed, where you have the content created by AI, but you have some sort of human oversight built into your process before something goes out to review it.
Mhm.
Because AI does make mistakes. I'll share this quick story of my own. I know nothing about bioidentical hormone replacement therapy. AI did.
We all do here, right, guys?
Yeah, top of mind. I was doing work for a integrative healthcare provider out in Arizona, and he wanted these little short brochures on bioidentical hormone replacement therapy. Well, I wanted to make sure I cited sources. And before I shipped it out, I said, you know what? I'm going to check the sources. So I'd click on the links. AI completely fabricated them.
Yes.
Complete, completely made up the stuff. So if I can give you any words of wisdom there, make sure that you have some sort of human oversight built into your process.
Yep.
But they were using you know the one social media agency that I used, they had a two-tier process of reviewing the stuff before it went out
Mhm.
and make sure one was to make sure that it was factually accurate and the other was to make sure it was on point with their brand voice. So that they had these two girls in their team that's all they would do.
Got it. So basically, you're suggesting for agencies, and I do know many agencies that I've spoken to, if not all, have been a little bit ahead of the curve. They've identified AI as a changing point in the overall process of any digital marketing agency. They started to use it for digital content creation, copy, even designing websites and logos. So they're really adopting it early. But it's still this thing where I've one of the things that I've seen is just everywhere on their collateral, everywhere on their proposals, forgetting the core value of what a digital agency is providing, which is we're gonna help you with your brand messaging, and also we're going to help you generate leads as a company. So that's the core. It doesn't matter. AI is just an enabler for this. It can help you get there faster, but just be careful. Don't brand everything you do as just complete AI and removing that human voice. Also, the human oversight that you mentioned, because all agencies are doing it, and that's not what you want to be. And it's funny, Leland said that AI booked two appointments on his calendar, and it's totally fabricated those two appointments. That's just That's funny.
It's almost like AI has a little bit of a mischievous side to it.
Yes. Um, so the last question here before I get to the closing closing one, but so to introduce AI to an organization, what is the best way? If you're an agency, I'm saying, and you're trying to work with a new client and try to help them adopt AI into the marketing process, how would you introduce it?
I I personally would introduce start small, introduce a single use case, like we did with the hair loss thing. It
Mhm,
was just I just focused on that one small component
mhm,
to show them that this is what potential. I didn't go in there and said, okay, we're going to redo your entire website. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. Go in small, give them a quick win, something that's going to work for them right away.
mhm.
Build that relationship, build that rapport. Because again, like we talked about, human beings spend money. AI doesn't spend money. So it's important to build that relationship. So start small, um, educate your teams, encourage your teams to uh, educate themselves on the AI tools that are available that your company furnishes. Encourage them to, um, you know, if they find a tool that's new or useful, to bring it to your attention. So education is really important because, and it's hard to keep up. I mean, it's really hard to keep up because there's a new tool coming out. Like, it seems like every day I get it. I'm on a newsletter called the AI Tool Report, and it's like it seems like every day another tool's coming out.
Yeah.
So start
And the
small.
good thing, though, the good thing, Keith, is that most of them are piggybacking on what the main engines are releasing. So if you stay on top of like what ChatGPT or OpenAI is releasing, what Gemini at Google is releasing, what Claude and I mean, I know DeepSeek was a thing last week, but then it crumbled after they got hacked, and now there's a compliance law that's about to be passed or whatever to prohibit people using Chinese products for whatever leaks possible. So
And
if you stay on top of those top leaders, I think you can sort of be ahead of the game to see what kind of tools are out there, but maybe having somebody at the organization, their job is to maybe once a week do a sprint and share with everybody what could be valuable for them. Is that a good way to go about it? Like an advocate?
like an advocate, and you just mentioned something I forgot I wanted to talk about. You got to be transparent with your clients that you're using AI.
Right.
Make sure that you're abiding by all the compliance laws and understand without a shadow of a doubt that AI has some sort of bias built into it.
Always.
It's 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 going to have bias in it, and you've got to be cognizant of the bias that exists.
Yes. Yes. And look, sometimes you can, in the prompt itself, steer the conversation towards a bias, which is funny. Um,
Yes,
Tried this several times. It's just like I'm having a conversation, it gives me an answer, and I start kind of pivot a little bit, and it became like this semi racist, mal-informed chat conversation.
almost like you were having an argument with a computer. I'm like, I've done that a couple times. I had to stop myself and say, why am I arguing with AI? It's just based on you know,
Enough arguing with people. Now we got to argue with
now I
AI.
get to argue with AI, right?
Yeah. So that's great. I know this was a lot. If you are to ditch everything, and that's going to be the exit question. If you, as a marketer, you are to ditch everything and start from scratch today, where would you start?
Oh boy. Um, Honestly, I don't think I would change anything because I think my journey was my journey because I did not have the background in digital marketing. But I think if I was going to change anything, I would have, been more hyper focused on who my audience was and what my my core values for my company were.
Nice.
It took me a while to get there. Funnellosophy was it an educate? Originally, I was wanting to be an education platform. Then I really got into the design work and the creative work. So I had a little bit of an identity crisis. So if I could change anything, I would have figured out and focused on what it was that my company was all about, what our mission was.
This is actually a great point, Keith. Every single company that I've worked with, ourselves and even acquaintances, they do go through this phase. Who's your perfect ICP, ideal customer profile? What are your core values, the problems you're trying to solve? Are you solving for everything or one problem? And having a clear vision on that is I think, key. So thanks for sharing this. And I do recommend everybody to have an exercise to actually do it. Put in front of you on a piece of paper or board. This is our ICP. These are our main goals, and this is what we're going to be going after them with.
Yeah,
So
what like you said, what problem do we solve? What solution do we provide? Because marketing, when it comes down to, Ryan Dice said it a long time ago, you got Mr. Before and Mr. After. Mr. Before has got a problem. How does your product get him from here to the Mr. After state? And that's what I think if I could change anything, I would have gotten that focus and clarity a lot sooner.
love it. It took us a few years to realize that what VBOUT does with all the tools that we provide, 14 tools, basically at the end of the day, we just help marketers communicate with their leads and customers better. That's it. 14 tools to achieve that one main goal is to communicate with them better via email, using automations, using chatbots, using social media scheduling. That's it. That's our mission, and we do it with the best tools possible. Also, at a great price point, with full analytics in the background to see how the performance
Mhm.
is. Took us a while, but that piece of wisdom only comes from those with experience, such as yourself. So, all right. Well,
Yep.
Keith, really appreciate your time with us today. This
Oh,
was
no
great
problem.
insight, great input. I want to thank everybody who joined in. Um, I also want to leave a few minutes for any questions. If somebody have any additional questions they want to ask, you can drop them in the chat right now. If Keith, you have a couple more minutes, we can stick around.
Richard, I know you guys. First, I would like to thank you, Keith, for the presentation.
Oh, you're quite welcome.
And I think I know you shared some tools like podcastle.ai and delphi.ai
Hmm.
and Synthesia. I think Leland also suggested it. But okay, that was answered, Richard, because Sahari
Yes,
is asking, can you please put the names of these tools in the chat? So
I
I'm
did.
wondering.
I did drop them in the chat
Okay, okay, thank you.
earlier.
Shola said you said something about funnel earlier, but I didn't quite get it because I came in late.
Shola, we talked about how the modern funnel in 2025 looks like. And to summarize it, I know you're probably going to have to go back to the recording once we send it to everybody. But funnels are getting condensed. So instead of having all these pages, you can have an AI chatbot that does a lot instead of having 20 pages to communicate or very long multi-sectional anchors. AI chatbots are compacting the landing page process when it comes to funnels. Also, using dynamic tags with AI helps you personalize those landing pages at scale nowadays. And the last part that Keith talked about was how to use AI to create an offer on those landing pages so you can get the leads interested. And he gave an example of uploading pictures of your head and a system that he integrated with AI that assesses your boldness on a scale. He built that tool using AI and a simple form. So this is kind of the discussion here, Shola.
Richard, how about I do this? I'll send you an email with all the tools that I use.
Love it. That's even better.
And then
Thank
that
you.
way you can share that with the group.
That works. Thank you so much for that.
Sure, you're welcome, Shola.
All right. Yeah, so Sari, I talked about the script. I don't know if that's it's a tool for editing videos using script. So if there's one word in my audio that I don't want, I can remove it instead of having to work from the timeline. We talked about VBOUT, obviously, which is the tool to build AI chatbots, run email marketing. But these are the ones that I can remember. But once Keith give us the tools, we'll syndicate it to everybody.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Any other questions?
Sure, you're welcome, Sahri. Yeah, I think the Synthesia, so I shared it. On YouTube, we're having views, but no questions yet. Guys, if you have any questions, please feel free to drop in before we end in the next couple of minutes.
All right. Well, it seems like the audience have gotten a lot from this. I know it's late for some, and believe it or not, Keith, some people wake up at 4 a.m. in the morning across the ocean and they join in on these events. So it's probably
Wow.
early for some and late for others. But
Yeah, they're probably going to bed now.
all right. Well, thanks everybody for joining us. Keith, big thanks to you for the awesome content. We'll send the recording of this along with the resources so everybody can access them. Um, Other than that, thank you, and we'll see you on the
Thanks for having me.
upcoming meeting. Absolutely. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. Thank you, Keith. Thank you, guys.